And greetings from Storybrooke. I'm Bobby Hawk.
I'm Elizabeth Placencia.
I'm Tony Hooper.
Monica Jones.
And Emma is pregnant, and this is not a drill. And also, we talk about ABC's hit series Once Upon a Time. Was that squee enough for you there, Elizabeth?
Yes, I loved it. Thank you very much.
Okay, all right.
Oh my god!
Spoiler alert, as I'm sure you're all aware. Yeah, big things happening on this week's episode of Once Upon a Time. But we'll be discussing all of that very shortly. But first, Tony, why don't you hit us up with this week's rhyming summary?
Sure will. So, Season 7, Episode 2, rhyming summary. Henry is on the run from Lady Tremaine. She looks for somebody to blame. Henry soon resorts to making a call. Luckily, Hook and Regina are ready to brawl. They come through the portal that subtly exists. Luckily, Henry has family that will assist. A reunion is subtly cut short by Hook's new mission to go to port. What does he find? A familiar face that looks to take his place. Emma is pregnant. Oh, what a happy day that it makes the Wish Hook stay away. Wish Hook finally makes the right decision while fighting for his life. In this week's episode, it's a pirate's life. Arrgh.
Very good, Tony. Very good. I like that we all kind of take turns with the rhyme and get our chance to shine. Get our moment in the spotlight, as it were. And we were all teasing Monica earlier that eventually it'll be her turn.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid of it, Monica. Don't be afraid.
Nothing to be afraid of.
Nothing to be afraid of.
We are in a safe place. We're in a safe place.
I use the internet to help me rhyme all the time, Monica.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Alrighty, I'll need your links.
Yes, definitely. All right, I was so excited to get started here with the rhyme and the rest of the episode. Never really got a chance to just be like, how you guys doing this week? Any news, any good things, bad things happening this week?
I got my car washed finally.
Wow, that's pretty bad if you have to make that an event.
I'm a Lyft driver, and the outside of my car has been really dirty for a couple of weeks, and I've been getting lower ratings because of it. The inside's fine, but it was the outside, and there was bird crap on my windshield too. So I finally got rid of it. So I'm really happy.
Elizabeth, okay, I have an unlimited car wash package. I pay $20 a month, and I get unlimited car washes. And it's not just an automatic car wash. I know it's it's not. I'm sure it's not just a Bradenton, Florida thing. I'm sure it's elsewhere, but it's not it's the car wash I go to. It's not quite automatic. It's not quite there are people there and they scrub the car before you go in, but then you have to vacuum it yourself at the end. But I mean, $20 a month. I mean, it's, I go in there 2 or 3 times a week at least. And
I've never heard of that.
Yeah, it's something to look into especially if you're like a Lyft driver, if you're someone who's like you just said, you're getting lower ratings because of it and whatnot. I'm sure Henry has a unlimited wash package on his whatever kind of car he has.
I'm pretty sure.
So yeah, let's time that back into Once Upon a Time. I'm trying to get back on track here. As we addressed last week. Last week's episode was a little late. There were unfortunately a few production issues. Bill was not feeling great. I've been told that he's still resting a bit, but he is aiming to get back to work tomorrow. So, yay, Bill! I hope you're feeling better, and wish you well. We are still going forward with the sweepstakes that we mentioned last week. Hashtag GFS new book. We want you to share the podcast with your friends and relatives and loved ones and anyone and everyone who watches Once Upon a Time. Let them get in on the. We love the former interactivity of this podcast. We're looking to bring that back. All right. So that being said, on with the rest of the episode.
Yeah.
So this week, Hook is apparently in a fight on a pirate ship, and he's knocked to the ground. We see that he's actually been just sparring with Henry, who has gained the upper hand. And when Emma comes in, Hook takes advantage of the interruption, and Henry leaves in a huff. Emma feels he's lashing out because he wants to leave, and she's afraid of him going off on his own. Hook offers a solution by way of a message in a bottle. If he's ever in trouble, just yell into this, and he'll come running. Kind of like a magic pager, I guess. Years later, in another realm, Henry continues his search for this realm's Cinderella as he's pursued by Lady Tremaine and the King's men. When they get the jump on him, he uses the bottle to call for Emma, Regina, and Hook. And there is your cold open. So we finally get, for more or less, get to see how the others are brought here. Of course, with the exception of Rumple. I like the term, I like how they use message in a bottle. There's always a cool way that they use different terms and phrases and fairy tale cliches. And I thought that was an interesting use of one of them.
Definitely, I liked it.
I watched it like 3 or 4 times before I realized that he poured the water out of the bottle, and it kind of almost made like a little portal that he threw the bottle into. I didn't
really
quite. Spoiler alert. And I've seen this quite most places actually, even though the ratings weren't all that great. I've heard, for the most part, I've seen that the people that did watch the episode did really like this episode. I've seen quite a few places that more or less this was a return to proper once form.
Really like that. Definitely.
Yeah. That being said, when I saw, when I was impressed with the episode and saw everyone being so impressed, I had to see who wrote the episode. And of course, it was Jane Espenson.
She needs to keep writing every episode.
Well, she is actually one of the producers, if I'm not mistaken, of this of the show. She was the head producer of Once Upon a Time in Wonderland, and she got her feet wet with Joss Whedon on Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Ding.
Yeah, so there's there's the bell for this week.
Honestly, if we could take a shot for every time Bobby mentions Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the magic juice will be pouring.
Yeah.
There's a lot of ties. Okay, a lot of ties. Anyone have anything else to add about the cold open here before I move on?
I just thought it was a little too... It was weird that Henry I saw him kind of throwing a temper tantrum a little bit over losing the fight to Hook, and I thought that was a little ridiculous and he's like too old for that, to be huffing and puffing away like that. I just thought it was weird. And he's supposed to be like 18 at that point, right? So,
17, 18, yeah, he's supposed to be heading out.
He's graduated high school. He should be acting a little bit more mature about it.
I agree. And then, Emma saying like, oh, he's just acting like this because for her to instantly be like, oh, he's wanting to leave, isn't he? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it was definitely, they only have so much time to tell the story, unfortunately. And I don't know how much time they had with Jared Gilmore. I'm sure that everything from last week and this week was shot in the matter of a day with Jared Gilmore. I doubt they had him there for both for 2 or 3 episodes worth of time.
Right.
I'm sure that they just, shot all of his scenes. And same with, Emma was only there for this episode anyway. And unfortunately, I don't think we'll see Jared again. I don't know. I mean, there's a chance there might be I don't think we'll ever see a flashback of Jared in the other realms.
It'll be nice. I mean, to connect the dots. You know, we got to see how he was prior of getting there. You know, I mean,
right. And unfortunately, cost-wise, it's getting him into whatever costume they'd have to get him into. The special effects and whatever sets he would be on. I mean, I understand why they did it the way they did, but just now thinking about that, like you said, it is unfortunately kind of a missed opportunity.
Definitely.
I thought it was a little odd that Emma couldn't quite seem to bring herself to refer to Hook as Henry's stepdad.
Yeah, I found that odd too.
Pause.
Yeah, there was even the pause where she was like, pirate.
Yeah.
And
he
it's
just
not,
happens to be my new hubby, and
it's not like him and Henry were ever like distant. I mean, they've always kind of been close, even before. Well, I'm okay. As of recent, they've always been close. As of recent, they've always been close. You know what I meant? It's been a while. They've been close for quite a while now.
Okay.
They were never they didn't hate each other at any point.
Exactly.
Well, I remember when Henry was I don't remember what kind of car he was under. I just remember he was like, I don't want my mom dating a dirty pirate, and Hook's like, I wash quite frequently, actually. Like, I remember that line.
I mean, he was a kid. You gotta think about that. He was a kid.
Like I said, maybe when it first started, but I mean, we eventually saw, Hook doing very fatherly things with Henry, teaching him to drive, or yeah, didn't he help him teach him?
Yeah, the ship.
No, that was David.
Okay, well then the ship then.
Yeah.
But there were other things.
I'm sorry, but the ship is better.
There were other things as well, but anyway, they definitely seem to be close enough for him to just be not referred to as a pirate. Yeah, so I definitely see where you were coming from there, Monica. I definitely felt that as well. So in Seattle, Rogers pays Henry a visit because he recognizes the picture of Emma from his book. Henry tells him she's just a made-up character. As Roger leaves, Henry asks for his help in finding his family's graves. He hopes he's found nothing but dead ends. But I'm bummed. Henry expresses remorse about what happened with Jacinda, and Rogers tells him that she's not doing great. Elsewhere, Jacinda is trying to get tickets for Lucy's ballet recital, and apparently Victoria has now made it a charity event. Tickets are $550. It just so happens she only makes $500, so they're just out of reach. First off, wow, Victoria is, I'm just going to say a witch, but you know what I want to say. That being said, $500 a week at a fast food restaurant is not that bad.
She must work overtime.
Yeah, quite a bit of overtime. I mean, I'm a landscaper, and I don't even on a really good week I bring home $500 a week, and I'm making I'm not making minimum wage, which is what you would think they were making a fast food. So I guess minimum wage must be really good in Seattle. Did you guys have anything to add about this set of scenes here?
I mean, to me, it just seems like she's just trying to make things right, and have her daughter see her in a good light, and of her being a good mother. I mean, hey, she's a lot better than what the other mothers of the show were like. Of course, she's trying to make the effort.
I still don't quite understand how and why exactly her stepmother is able to laud so much over her as far as her daughter is concerned. I really don't.
I believe it's probably the influence, maybe, because if you really think about it, Regina, back in her days of the early, seasons, she really had the influence on everyone. Her word was law. Whatever she said, people rolled with it. So basically, I think that Lady Tremaine has that same power. Okay,
so you think it's more or less just because she said so?
Yeah.
I got you.
Do you think that Lady Tremaine, though, redeem her like they redeemed Regina down the road?
I hope not. I really do hope not.
No
and
more
I
redemption
think,
arcs.
And I would say that, from just what they've shown of her and I guess Drizella, is that her daughter's name?
I already forgot.
But anyway,
yeah.
her and her daughter, how they show her daughter and here, like even for a moment when she kind of like hesitates and Henry's like, oh, you don't have to kill me, and she, I can see you don't want to, and she's like, oh, obviously you don't, you don't know me. Yeah. So and they kind of went the same route with Tremaine last week, where they kind of had her just like straight up stabbing that dude in the back and clipping the fairy wings and all that other stuff. So I think they've gone out of their way to show that these people are just evil. There's no magic involved. There's no, they're just power hungry, evil people.
Mm-hmm.
Tremaine takes backstabbing to a whole new level.
Literally, quite literally. Yes, quite literally.
Seriously. Oh man, that's crazy.
So back in the realms, Tremaine orders her daughter to find out where Henry hid the slipper, then kill him, just as we were speaking of. Henry doesn't think she'll do this, but this is one of the wicked stepsisters after all. Just when she's about to get down to business, we hear a portal open and Hook and Regina come to the rescue. Henry asks where Emma is. Hook reassures him she's fine. She's just busy with tiny dragons. Regina asks why he lied. Hook tells her it's what Emma wanted. If Henry knew what really happened, he'd drop everything and just come home. All right, so first off, I don't quite understand where the other stepsister is. They keep showing Drizella as I think what her name is here, and I think they like briefly mentioned the other sister in the last episode where she was like, "Oh, well, the younger prince seems to be taking quite a liking to my other daughter, which is why she killed the older prince, I guess. So the younger prince would be next in line." That being that, and as far as this set of scenes is concerned. It seems that Hook is a very bad liar.
Yeah, I can agree.
Yeah, I mean,
he's a terrible liar that Henry believed.
Yeah, I don't quite understand that either. I mean, he's a pirate. He should be better at lying.
There has been worse lying going on here.
In this episode later, we'll get to that as well. Yes, very, very much so. Was there anything else anyone wanted to add about this here, about these scenes?
I thought it was really, I mean, maybe it's not that important to say, I guess, but I just thought that Hook's timing coming through the portal was just, he barely walks in and he's just like punch, sword, kind of, like he just took over that room like that. He just took over, and it was just like, it was really cool. It was a really cool like moment. He just put down those guards like they were nothing, and then then Regina's like, I'm his mother. Bam! And it's like, oh, it's a good scene. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I'm at this point. I'm just gonna stop like even trying to say like, oh, why portals are so easy to come by, why this, why that. I'm just gonna go with it.
Really? Because I'm wondering where all the magic beans are coming from.
That's what I'm saying. Like I said, I mean, I've spent the past I've been hosting the show now for a year.
6 years.
A year. I've been doing voicemail with Bill and them for years as well, and so like the whole time, even though I love the show, I've been complaining about the different plot holes that are presented, and so I'm kind of just at this point, I'm gonna be like, you know what? It's a portal.
You're just gonna let go and let God, aren't you?
We're in a fairy tale world, and they just went through a portal. That's all.
You're just gonna follow blindly, aren't you?
It's good.
Pretty much.
Good. It's good.
I mean, like
following the blind.
Portals used to be so hard to come by. You had to be one very powerful being to summon a portal. Now then they go down to items, and then it's now, hey, apparently you can throw down some kind of flask and say, hey, bring this person and this person and this person, please. And then boom, there they are.
Like I said, if this is a thing that can like just help the story progress and bring us a quick, easy way to bring us to other realms and everything like that. I'm whatever, just whatever you gotta do. I've never questioned a guy driving around in a big blue box that's bigger on the inside. So just do what you got to do, and we'll go on with it.
Pretty much. Just don't ask, no questions. Just watch the show.
Speaking of the show,
the whole what's really going on with Emma?
Okay,
they just threw that out there and nothing. They just left it hanging.
That's crazy.
Yeah. There was so much gray area there that they of course they were trying to play it coy as far as like, oh, what's wrong with Emma? What's wrong with Emma? And what's weird is like Hook even says here that like this is what Emma wanted because she doesn't want Henry to know. Skipping forward here a little bit, but then later, when Emma does finally show up to Henry, she's like, "Oh, Hook wanted me to stay, but I had to tell you." So apparently, Hook
somebody lied. Somebody lied. There's disconnection there.
Yeah, I don't know, but our notes, but that was definitely something worth noting.
Bobby, you blacked out. Your screen blacked out.
My screen blacked out?
Yeah.
Still?
No, you're fine now, but it did. Am I the only one that saw that?
It flickered.
It flickered.
No.
Oh, okay. Well, if you see my underscore on my lower third there, it does say I'm Booby Hawk, so maybe it was kind of a haunting thing or something. I don't know.
It is Halloween. Things are happening.
Back to the show at Ronnie's. What is Tiana's name in like our world or whatever? I haven't.
I haven't picked up on that.
Got her name. They never really mention it. It's just like, hey girl, blah blah blah.
You know, girl. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So I just wanted. If you're listening to this and please let us know. What's Tiana's name? Because I'm just gonna keep calling her Tiana here because I can't remember. I couldn't find what her name was in the show. I watched it 3 or 4 times trying to figure it out, and I was like, I'll just replace it. I put Tiana in here as a placeholder, and they were like, oh well, I guess her name's Tiana. Oh, okay.
Name here.
So, at Ronnie's, Tiana tries to offer solutions to Jacinda by way of side job apps. They really like apps on this. They're really trying to show how like modern the show is.
Yeah.
Henry shows up and tries to apologize, but Jacinda won't have it. When he tries to offer help, she tells him, "This isn't a fairy tale, and you're not Prince Charming. Damsels do it for them damn selves." Meanwhile, it's training day for our 2 detectives. Weaver tells Rogers he's picked him for the job personally. Maybe one day he'll be a good detective and realize why. Belfry summons them to make Henry Mills go away. When Rogers speaks up saying, "We don't work for Belfry," Weaver agrees, "No, we work for me." So
anybody else got that song, "Sisters, I did it for themselves," stuck in their head? Is it just me?
Yeah.
I've never heard of that, but
wasn't that like a Whoopi Goldberg movie or something? Never mind.
I don't know.
I've heard it. I'm just not that familiar with it.
Yeah, I know it's
getting Dreamweaver stuck in my head every time Gold shows up.
But giving credit where credit is due, the damsels do it for them damn selves is actually a quote from another podcast I listened to called You Made It Weird with Pete Holmes.
Oh.
I'm sorry, I made it weird.
So anyway, yeah, so that's a very good podcast. Shout out to that if you ever want to give that a listen to. But I believe he actually even sells T-shirts that say that saying on it. But it definitely seemed appropriate to mention. Anyway, Work Bunny really what is there? Isn't there like a real app called like TaskRabbit or something like that?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, but like I said while I was saying the story, they're with the apps and everything. They are definitely going there. Like in Storybrooke, it seemed like everything was kind of stuck in the 80s, Whereas here, they're definitely going out of their way to like, no, this is here, this is now. It's good to see that Rogers isn't just going along with this, especially seeing at this point we still see him as Hook, and of course Weaver is just ambiguous as ever, or Rumple or whatever you want to call him.
Weaver.
Yeah. I will say though about his performance, I'm liking what I'm seeing so far. But there was that article that I believe we mentioned back at the spoiler party where Carlisle had mentioned that like, oh, he had to go back and do ADR and change his accent because he he said that once he started filming the 3rd or 4th episode, he realized that this is a totally different character and he wanted to change the accent. I'm not really seeing that much of a change in the accent as far as that's concerned.
I think it's just gold with the new name.
Yeah, it doesn't. I mean, there's a slight change, but it's not like that article said where he had to go back and like totally change the way he speaks. I don't see that at all. Like I said, it's a little different, but not like he was saying. Anyway, did anyone else have anything to add about this set of scenes?
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I had to look at the notes. So did you guys see Lucy's note to Belfry before like Weaver and Rogers walk into Belfry's office? Did you guys read that?
I actually did
not.
Know.
I thought it was for her mom instead of.
Because I didn't see it at first, and then I had to play it back, and it was a note from Lucy that she was reading that basically said these blue flowers that sprouted up in the first episode. She's like, these blue flowers sprouted up last night, grew last night. However she says it, she's 9, and she says to enjoy the flowers. Basically, and I thought that was weird for like a kid to write that kind of note. Like, what is she trying to say to her? I didn't understand it.
I'm thinking enjoy the flowers because hey, life is coming back.
I honestly did not see, like, I didn't catch any of that. But I mean, as far as why she would be doing something like that, yeah, I mean, just because the little girl had been visiting that garden for some time, trying, wishing in that well. And then when the flowers finally came back, she picked the flowers and, left a note with them.
Definitely. I had a note about it. So basically, I know we have mentioned it in the point before we all started our points, but did anybody get a vibe of you watching the modern day fairy tale version of Training Day, the movie?
Oh yeah. I think even in the last episode, I was saying that this is either going to be Training Day or True Detective. But I've decided it's more or less Training Day. But then, like, of course, the episode, you still, like I said earlier, this Weaver character is just as ambiguous as Rumple or Gold was. You never know what side he's playing for,
True. Showing that versatility, like, hey, I can be good and evil. So,
you had a comment as well, Monica?
Oh, I never saw Training Day, so I guess I gotta put that on my list. Princess and the Frog.
Yes, please do. It'll give you nightmares, like it did me as a child. No, Training Day. Like, I kind of feel scarred to this day. Small story, but I kind of feel scarred to this day. My parents took me to go see it, and I kind of had nightmares overnight. So, yeah, hats off to my parents for being the best parents in the world.
The horror of reality.
Exactly.
I've never seen it, so I have no idea what we're talking about.
Anyway,
pretty scarred
I had to giggle when Tiana left it and said that she had to hop.
Yeah, they definitely are going out of their way to make the references with Tiana there, because even in the last episode there was the whole frog legs thing at the palace.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Frog legs? No, thank you.
Yeah. So in the realms, Regina tries to cast a locator spell on the slipper. Her magic no longer works in this realm. Hook decides to ask the local pirates if they've seen anyone running around with a glass slipper. It just kind of seems it would be hard to miss. As he searches the docks, he is approached by a very familiar-looking, kind of lost my space there, a very familiar face. The Hook Emma met in the cracked mirror realm.
Which realm?
Well, I said cracked mirror because of what he said earlier in the episode. So I'll say Wish Realm. Yes, you're right. You're right. I just put that in here when I wrote it. As he argues with himself through some very exposition-heavy dialogue about realms and such, we learn that Wish Hook has been trying to find his own Emma. And since he can't seem to find one, he means to take Hook's. He knocks him out with a well-timed headbutt and leaves him at the docks.
I thought that was silly there.
Yeah, I guess this is where we'll kind of address kind of address where the Hook, like how, obviously they haven't quite got to there yet, but I mean, I don't know about you guys, as soon as I saw this other Hook, I began to think okay, how, obviously, wait a second, is this the Hook we're dealing with? Is this, and then there was, when, the scene we'll mention in a moment when they changed him. But I mean, you know what? I'll wait to speak of that. Is there anything you guys want to speak of about in this set of scenes before I move on to the next one?
I have a thought. Okay, so Regina's magic. Sure, it may have some limitations, but through different realms, though. I mean, I kind of thought that we kind of went over this, like how does your powers all of a sudden work one time when you get into a new realm, and then it's like all of a sudden.
Yeah, I kind of felt that was a bit weak, to be honest with you too. The whole magic sparking out, and then later on, it kind of, Emma got it to work for her. Yeah. I kind of, once again, it was just kind of something I walked past. It just happened. I guess putting it in the realm of the portal thing that happened, or that we spoke to earlier. It just moved the story along, and so I let it happen. Monica, you did have something to mention about Wish Hook.
Yeah, that was the worst makeup job I think I've ever seen, and I've done community theater. That did not belong on TV. No,
yeah. That was definitely community theater makeup to be. Yeah. I mean, and I've seen better makeup in community theater. Unfortunately, that was almost high school theater. It was pretty rough. It's a good thing that it didn't last long. I mean, I almost wonder, from the way he was letting on about, and then kind of almost acting like he was drunk and then headbutting him the way he did. I almost wonder if any of that was a costume. Maybe he
was that bad last season.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. I hear you.
Stomach was just as big. Beer.
I know, but I was trying to kind of, I guess, talk it away by being like, oh, well, maybe it's that bad because he's having to disguise that he's not, that he's now fit a little bit. And so he just stuffed a pillow under his shirt and threw some coal, around some soot on his face to fill in the lines, But no, you're right. Yeah, it's always been this bad. I'm sorry.
It's just bad makeup.
I'm sorry. Okay.
Let it
Weaver and Rogers continued their search for Henry Mills at Ronnie's, but she's not saying anything. Bartender-client confidentiality. She warns Rogers to steer clear of Weaver. He says he can handle himself. Rogers suggests to Weaver that we cut to the chase and we get this thing over with. I don't quite understand why I stopped there, to be honest with you. But seeing as we did, I see in the notes here, Tony, you make mention about Rumpel here.
Mm-hmm. Why? Well, because so basically, how he tends to play this dangerous role, saying, you're going to respect me, you're going to do this. Like, we know how back when he was Rumple, not Rumple, but Mr. Goat, we know how devious and his own agenda that he has. So, I mean, that's what I was saying. Like, we know how evil even your cursed persona can be, just as bad as your fairy tale persona can be. That's what I was trying to say.
Okay. Well, the reason I even mentioned that is because here in the notes, exactly what you say is, we all know it's Rumple and we know how evil he is. Now, for some reason, when I read that, excuse me, I kind of thought to myself, now, wait a second, especially as, from what goes on later in this episode, do we know how evil this Rumple is? Do we even know that this is the Rumple we've been watching for the past 6 seasons?
Mm-hmm. I mean, I was just taking it from the fact that, I mean, it's just how, I'm guessing with the new realm and everything, they're taking these kind of these characters that we've known for 6 years and kind of giving them tidbits of their previous personalities. Like this is
like they did in the previous curse.
Exactly, like this, like giving him this little perk over knowing so much and saying, hey, I know this, or I know you're going to meet me here, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, okay, we know how, us as the audience, we know how evil he is. But I'm guessing the people there are still learning that, as far as it goes.
Understood. Okay, so in the realms, Twisted Hook surprises Lady Tremaine. It would appear that they share a past. He suggests that he can help her get rid of Henry, transform him into our Hook so he can fool Henry. But Tremaine's not magic. Wouldn't you know it, luckily enough, she's recently come into possession of a magic wand. What exactly do you think went on there with Second Hook, or Wish Hook, rather, and Tremaine? I mean, you guys caught that too, right? You guys caught there was some sort of they obviously knew each other, because like when we first see Wish Hook, he's talked about that he's been traveling the realm searching for his daughter. So I got the inclination that he isn't necessarily from this realm, that he isn't this realm's Hook, just like Jacinda is this realm Cinderella. There's another Hook out there somewhere that's not Colin O'Donoghue or what, and then what was up with the suggestive way that Tremaine grabbed that wand? You guys saw that too, right?
Yeah,
I missed that, but
what was that, Monica?
I missed the wand part, but Hook was definitely acting really intimate, so yeah,
like she was. She reached down.
Up in her face.
The camera stayed on them, and then she reached down out of camera to and even kind of knelt down a little bit and pulled up a wand.
Well, I think she was wearing a garter.
Okay, I could see that, but I mean,
it's the only thing that would explain how she reached down and where she was reaching.
No, yeah, but it just didn't. Yeah. It didn't look like she was grabbing a wand, or at least not that wand. I'm sorry.
I mean, I thought that it was just like another kind of how when the Evil Queen and Rumple had those little weird exchanges, maybe they were trying to mirror what they used to do. Maybe they do have history.
But there's just certain things that happen, that
it's just
like
weird.
Those little things that are like, whoa, did they just do that? Did they just go there?
Yeah.
Anyway, Tony, you had said something about something against someone against. I'm sorry. What was your point here?
The point basically is probably, I'm trying to reiterate what I said last week. For a person who's against magic and and saying power can be taken, she sure is using this fairy's power a lot to get what she wants.
Yeah, like I said before, she tries to make it a point that oh, you don't need magic, what you need is power, but then she uses that magic to get power. She kind of steps.
Weird.
on her own logic. Yeah.
It's the you see her.
It looks like we still Hook's breath must be atrocious. I'm sorry, I was just reading Monica's notes there. Yeah, we focused. I mean, we touched on the familiarity there, but
someone hasn't been brushing their teeth.
Yeah, it was.
They were yellow as yellow can be.
It was pretty bad. Like we said, high school makeup at best. When Jacinda and her friend continue the search for cash so she can make it to the recital, just when it seems that all hope is lost, they find the perfect listing, a catering gig at the recital. When they get there, Henry has orchestrated the whole thing. He convinced them that they needed another bartender and that he should be responsible for hiring waitresses. In the span of an afternoon, across town, Weaver and Rogers go through Henry's apartment when Weaver realizes Rogers has been there before. So that's just a little too good to be true. I mean, Jacinda keeps mentioning about like this whole fairy tale thing, but I mean, he may be the author, but come on. I mean, that's the only way. That's the only way I could see that actually happening is if like he went home and wrote that on his computer, and then somehow that because he did that, this happened. Because there is no way in the span of an afternoon he called. There's no way. There's no way. You're talking about like 2 or 3 hours in the matter of this happening.
Hey, anything is possible.
I'm with Tony on that.
If you just believe.
Yeah. I'm sorry. And I know, and there's so many things I've looked past in this episode already, and I keep saying, I'm just going to look past it. I'm just going to look past it.
You can't do it, can you, Bobby? You can't do it.
This has got nothing to do with magic. This has nothing to do with magic.
I mean, just think about it. Like, what if you got some interview at the last second saying, hey, you were a candidate. We thaught about you. Come on in.
I don't know. Okay. I will say this. When I started working at Burger King, my friend called me on Sunday and was like, hey, do you need a job? Because no one showed up. And so I came down there on Sunday at like 7 o'clock at night. And like, they were like, you have a hair tie at least? And so I put my hair back and they gave me a hat and that was it. And
Have you always had long hair?
My hair used to be like up down to my butt.
Wow. So long hair is your thing. Okay.
Yeah. Either long hair is my thing or being too lazy to cut it is my thing. 6 of one, half dozen of the other, I guess.
But see, though, it happens. So the idea they had. I mean, or less than basically Henry's breaking the #1 rule of being an author, writing in your own story, even if it's just to help.
But isn't that what he's always done? Is write in his own story? I can't even remember, the few things. I mean, everything he's written, really, we've seen. In fact, there at the end, he was writing everyone's happy endings. That's in his story.
Well, I believe that it was, he's doing it for the right reasons. He wasn't being selfish.
Saying, no, he wasn't like
to do this.
He wasn't like that. I forget the name of the previous author, but yeah, he wasn't like the one. Isaac, thank you.
Isaac.
Yes, he wasn't anything like Isaac.
Yeah, so he wasn't doing it for his own game.
Okay, let me see. Where were we at? I'm sorry, I lost my place. I did like the one of my favorite quotes, I guess, happened in this set of scenes was how would you like to build a house out of reclaimed straw? Was that really a job that was on this task on this job app? And how would you even go about doing something like that? A house out of reclaimed straw, and why? Anyway.
Sounds like a job for the Three Little Pigs.
Yep.
Pretty much. I think it was more of a reference.
All right. So, and there's nothing I missed here. Anyone want to add anything like that? No? Okay. Just want to make sure. At the recital, Lucy is thrilled to see her mom and Henry are there. Belfry calls for the detectives to get rid of Henry. In the realms, Regina and Henry catch up. When Emma comes up, Regina changes the question. Second Hook returns telling them he's found Cinderella and she's left. Doesn't want anything to do with him. Regina tells Hook to give Henry a heart-to-heart, and as he talks to Henry, Emma shows up and tells Henry she is pregnant. Yeah. We.
I can't help it. I can't help it.
We said that would be one of the few exceptions as far as like a valid out for Emma. So I'm glad that they did that.
Mm-hmm. Hey, guess what? She's not dead. Or we think. Yeah,
and not only is she not dead, but again, jumping ahead, I guess, a little bit here, but I mean, I thought they did an excellent job here of just everything. Not just that Emma is pregnant, but that the fact that Emma and Hook are not separated.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, hey, sorry, but years ago,
I thought they did an excellent job of explaining how that happens. I mean, as soon as you saw Hook change, as soon as you saw Wish Hook turn into, turn into, or have Tremaine turn him into our Hook, I kind of felt like, okay, that's where this is going. But at the same time, I felt they did an excellent job of explaining why that is the case. That as far as why that's happening. I mean,
I have things to say about that, but I don't know if I should say them yet.
Well, if you think it touches on something later, we'll touch on it later. But for now, let's touch on the Emma pregnancy. Let's just focus on that. Yeah, we knew. Because I know that you have a lot to say, Elizabeth. How do you feel about Emma being there?
So disappointed, really.
Right? No! I'm so disappointed. I was like so happy. Like I screamed so loud when I was watching with my boyfriend, my best friend, my mom, my aunt, me.
Mm-hmm.
There was 5 of us watching this episode together, and that's the biggest group I've ever had at once watching once with me. Mm-hmm. And I screamed so loud. I hurt my aunt was sitting behind me. I think I hurt her ears, and I hurt my own ears. I didn't expect how loud I got, but the woo was like so ear piercingly loud. And that's how excited I was. I said, to hear Emma's news, and I was so excited. And I knew a few days beforehand that was probably what was happening because I saw a picture on Facebook about like Hook holding Emma's belly. So I saw that picture, so I kind of had a feeling it was coming. But regardless of that, I am over the moon happy for them, and I'm just over the moon happy for them. I'm like, this is what I always wanted to see happen in the show, but now we don't get to see her have the baby and raise the baby, and that makes me sad, because I'd love to see her do that stuff, but usually most shows don't do that anyway, so whatever.
And it would make sense that she's so concerned, even though Henry was trying to reassure her, she's like, yeah, but I gave you away. I didn't deal with all this to begin with. Now I actually have to, I'm glad that they touched on that. Yeah, I'm glad that they touched on that.
It's seeming like the process is, the cycle is kind of continuing. Like her mother didn't get to take care of her. Emma didn't get to take care of Emma. I mean, Emma didn't get to take care of Henry. So, and now Henry didn't get to take care of Lucy. No, but yeah.
Or at least as far as he can remember at this point.
As far as he can remember, yeah.
Right.
It just sucks.
And the what was I was just about to say? Wish Hook is a worse liar than Hook is, and Henry. I don't quite understand. And why is Henry believing either of them? I mean, obviously he was kind of saved by the bell here when Emma just walked in. But why was he hesitating so hard to just be like, "Oh yeah, Emma's fine." Oh yeah, Emma. Emma, yeah. Yeah, that thing about Emma. Yeah, okay.
Tiny dragons.
Yeah, but even that was Hook. This guy didn't even do that. This guy's like, who, what?
Yeah.
He's worse than his makeup.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty rough. It was pretty rough. Did anyone else have anything to add about these set of scenes besides a bunch of squeeing from Elizabeth here?
I did.
Go ahead, Tony.
Right from the start, man. Come on. Magic disguises should be a thing of the past. A few good answers to see past the Glimmer spell would really stop others from using them. I mean, honestly, okay, you can see the person that's stuttering. Boom, right there.
No, okay, yeah, I hear you there. I don't know if I would necessarily call this. I mean, I feel like this is more than just a glamour spell. I think that they actually took years off this guy's life. You know, I think there's more involved than just a transformation spell. You know, but that being said, yeah, they definitely should have been able to tell that this was not, you know, their Killian.
Yeah, especially when Henry was like, "Something's wrong. What's the matter with you?" Like, honestly, okay, expound upon that. What's the matter with you? You're not Killian. Well, at least you're not the Killian I know. You know, I mean, it's like, come on, can't we see past the spells here? Like, honestly.
And Monica, you had something to add about Lady T?
Oh, when Emma first walked in on my first watch, I was wondering if that was Lady Trelane in disguise, because it just seemed odd that that Emma would just show up, you know, no portal, no nothing, unless. No, she couldn't have come in with them earlier. She had to have had her own portal. They really are throwing those magic beans around.
That's what I'm saying, and I don't even think it was magic beans at this point. I think that Regina and Emma were just opening portals.
It's either that or Oprah was just sitting in the.
I mean, in Wonderland, there were no. You know, the rabbit just drew. You know, the rabbit had control of portals. I don't know how that was the case, but in Wonderland, there was no, you know, magic beans or anything. He just drew a circle in midair, and you know, a portal would pop up.
I'm telling you, powerful creatures or items to portals, you know. Or Oprah is just saying, "Look under your seats. Here's a beam."
You get a portal, and you get a portal, and you get a portal.
Yeah, here it goes. Yeah.
I'm telling you, Oprah is in the Enchanted Forest. Come on, you guys, let's make that happen.
As Henry assures Emma she'll be a great mom, Second Hook realizes he's done something terribly wrong that he must fix. He goes back to the docks to find our Hook, but he's gone. Hook sneaks up on Twisted Hook and on Wish Hook. I wrote anyway on Wish Hook. Well, the Wish Hook tries to explain himself. They begin to fight, and Wish Hook ends up stabbed in the struggle. He explained to Hook that he couldn't do it once he heard Emma was pregnant. He couldn't separate a father from his child. He knows what that's like. What do you guys think about you know, the Wish Hook here? And you know, I guess this is where we'll be talking about how he fits into you know, what I was trying to say before. Elizabeth, maybe this is where you wanted to put it in, or?
No, I want to put it in at the end.
Okay, no problem. Is there anything anyone else wanted to add about Wish Hook or anything else about this set of scenes here?
Why did he just show up with his knife already out? Like he was.
Because Monica makes too much sense.
And I'm like, yeah, that. Oh no, that's for a later point. Never mind. That was my only comment for this.
No, yeah, I think that was with the. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I know exactly what you're talking about. Tony, was there something you want to add here?
Yeah. So basically, when you mentioned in the point there that he knows what it feels like to be separated from a child, my thing is the things happen first in the wish realm before it happens in the actual, you know, Storybrooke or any realm, or I mean, it just seems like, you know, things are happening there first because he knows, like, as soon as he gets reminded about losing a child or doing anything, you know, it seems like things happen in the wish realm first before they happen anywhere else.
I think there are just similarities and differences in the realms. You know, there are some that are more similar than others, such as the Wish realm, the Crack Mirror realm, whatever you want to call it. And then there are realms apparently that are like the ones we're in now, where none of the characters are familiar to any of us. And then as far as what I believe your knife thing did tie in here, Monica. That is exactly the scene we're on. Because when I saw your thing in the notes here, at first I thought, wait a second, didn't our Hook have the knife? And I went back and watched the scene again, and I was like, oh, wait a second, Monica's right. The guy did have the knife. You know, the Wish Hook did have the knife. And so the only thing I could think of is that, like, oh, well, maybe he was going to use the knife to cut the ropes. But then he did mention to Emma, give it was, that he had tied Hook up. But in looking back, I don't remember him actually tying Hook up.
No.
All he did was give him a headbutt, which would, like, what? I mean, that's not going to knock you out. I mean, yeah, exactly. So
5 minutes.
Just threw him in the cart and then threw a blanket over him, like like the scene from Back to the Future. Oh, we'll just be back for him later. I mean,
basically.
That was I'm wrong, but I never saw him tie Hook up.
No,
not to mention, how does a one person?
He did, but we didn't see it.
But how does a one-handed person tie someone up?
This is a good question.
How does a one-handed man do anything?
Well, I worked at a car wash for 8 years. I worked at a car wash for 8 years, and there was a one-armed guy that like washed cars there with us, and he like did all kinds of crap, like with that one arm. I've met men who can I'm
not trying to say anything bad. I'm not.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
Yeah, okay. Definitely not.
Why were you about to say something different or what?
No. I started to hear what I said in my head, and I'm like, oh, I hope this doesn't sound.
Oh no! I didn't think that you were No. I didn't think that you sounded like oh, what could no, I'm not even going down that road. No, it didn't sound like you.
I mean, Hook has done so many things with his hook all these years that I've never really questioned how he can do it.
And you're right. Yeah, I mean, I don't have one arm. Maybe you can. I'm not saying it's impossible to tie a thing with one arm. There's plenty of Yeah, you're right. Maybe I was the one that was being disrespectful. Shame on me, Elizabeth. Shame on me.
I mean, you can do a lot of things when somebody's knocked out. Just saying.
Back at the recital, the detectives arrive to do something about Henry. Weaver borrows a bracelet from Belfry and gives it to Rogers to plant on Henry. As the recital ends, Weaver pulls a Poirot and asks for everyone's attention. Can the staff please empty their pockets? It seems Miss Belfry is missing a bracelet. Jacinda asks why the staff is getting singled out, and Henry comes to her aid. After getting a quick wake-up call from Weaver, when he's told to empty his pockets, he's surprised to find his keychain. So yeah, I really did not think that Hook was going to go through, or Rogers was going to go through with it. And then when he did, I didn't see the keychain coming. I didn't think it was going to be the bracelet, but I didn't see the keychain coming. So I thought that was a nice turn.
I was in suspense. I mean, when Rogers bumped Henry, I thought that was it. I was like, crap. He's probably going to do a repeat of what they did back when Emma and Regina were at each other's throats. Doing things to each other back and forth.
Right, and Regina was sicking Graham on Emma to try to get Emma out of town. I mean, we're replaying, familiar notes from season 1, yes, but just with a different once twist, which is not necessarily. I mean, this is what the show has always been. It's always been familiar stories with a once twist. So what's wrong with playing with familiar elements of its own show?
Nothing at all.
So, is there anything? It seems like and no one else had anything to add about that there. At the docks.
I was just saying, if anybody. Oh,
I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Oh no, sorry. Go ahead. I was just saying that I'm not. I know I can't be the only one who wasn't happy with that. It wasn't the bracelet.
Oh, I'm sure everyone was, was thrilled
definitely.
that it was, that it wasn't the bracelet. I mean, it was, I mean, like I said, I'm just happy to see that Rogers made the right decision, And at the docks, Wish Hook explains to our Hook what led him down his path. A witch trapped his daughter in a dungeon. He would sneak in to play chess. When he was caught, he was cursed so that he could never save his daughter. He searched the realms to find true love in order to break the curse, which is why he tried to take Hook's place. He has held on to a single rook to remember her by. She has his knight. He asks Hook to find her and bring it to her. Hook asks Emma to help him get a second chance, but she's afraid her magic doesn't work in this realm. But maybe if he believes her magic will work, it will. Yeah, here we go with the whole magic thing we were talking about earlier, where working when they want it to, and now that hers works here now. I mean, obviously it worked later when her and Hook left, because they left in a portal, unless she brought a sack full of magic beans with her.
Hook threw a bean, or Hook threw something.
Oh, really? When they went through the
Yep.
I did not catch that. So maybe that throws my thing of they can create portals. Anyway, and maybe they gave Henry a sack full of beans before they left. Oh, here you go, dude. Just in case.
Just let it happen.
Yeah, just in case.
I think in a cheesy way of explaining, it's like, we knew this day was going to come. You were going to call us for help, so let me just have this little backup bean to go back home, so we'll have a way back home or whatever. It's one of those lame excuses.
Right. Okay, so I guess let's focus on Hook's Wish Hook's story here. So their stories separated when Regina's curse was not cast. So in that period of time, he obviously found someone else and had a daughter. And that daughter taught him to love and whatnot. And so I guess the real question is who do you think Hook's daughter is? I'll tell you, at first I was thinking it was like, oh, maybe it's Tiana, because she seems to be playing such a large role here in this show. But then my mind kind of went to Alice because of the chess pieces. Those were the first two that kind of popped into my head. What do you guys think, Elizabeth?
I was thinking it was Rapunzel, because
just from the story.
Well, yeah, from the story he told, he said that she was trapped in a dungeon, and he had to, maneuver to see her or something. And I thought, well, maybe it's Rapunzel with her long hair. So that's what I was thinking.
Okay. Tony, did you have any inkling?
Oh no, it was the same theory that you had. Chess piece, too obvious.
Yeah. That was the only thing that kind of is that a bit too obvious. Monica, do you have any thoughts or theories on? I mean, it could just be someone we haven't even seen or met yet, as well.
It could be, but I agree with Elizabeth. I think it's going to be Rapunzel.
So just by the dungeon and whatnot, you kind of caught a
Rapunzel
and then vibe as well.
A witch that locked her away. So, and it could be too on the nose. It could be someone else entirely. But
no, I understand. Yeah, definitely.
They like their on the nose stuff.
That they do. That they do. So Weaver confronts.
Sorry.
No, you're fine, Elizabeth. Don't worry about it.
Drink that magic juice.
Weaver confronts Rogers. What was that, Monica?
Buffy.
Oh.
What about Buffy? What about it?
Wait, you got to say it first. Go ahead.
Oh. Weaver confronts Rogers about the bracelet. Apparently, it was a test all along. He wanted to see what Rogers was willing to do. He needs someone with a moral core. And Weaver lets Belfry know he's nobody's puppet. At Ronnie's, Jacinda finally accepts Henry's apology. Unfortunately, she can't stick around for a beer, and she's picked up a late shift at work. All right. I don't think I really had too much to add here. I mean, it's nice to see, I guess, that Rumple Weaver, whatever he is, isn't necessarily all bad. He wasn't looking for, the bracelet was a test all along, that he wants someone who, he was afraid that, that Rogers wanted it too bad and would do anything to get where he wanted to go. And so that's where he was looking to, that's why he did what he did with the bracelet. But that's still, obviously he's still ambiguous, because then there's that scene later, excuse me, where he is talking to Tremaine, or Belfry rather. And he says, first of all, just the fact that he's even talking to her like he is, and then, kind of lets her know, I work, just like he told Hook earlier, Rogers earlier, I work for me. Let's get this straight. I may, just because I've done stuff that you wanted me to do doesn't mean that I work for you. I wanted those things done too. That doesn't mean that that's not gonna, change in the future.
Definitely.
Yep.
Did anyone else have anything to add here as far as these points?
Yeah.
Okay. In the realms, Henry and Emma say their goodbyes. Henry has to stay to find Cinderella. Second Hook thanks the others and wishes he knew where to start to find his daughter. Emma suggests they help each other. She'd be happy knowing Henry wasn't alone. As Henry and Regina say goodbye again, Henry suggests that she stay behind as well, so she can find her story. Hook and Emma return to Storybrooke through a portal. Looks like it's Operation Next Chapter. All right, so we kind of touched upon this as we've gone through the outline. I'm sure this is probably where Elizabeth wanted to add her points that she's been holding back. You know what? I'm just gonna let that. Just what do you have to say, Elizabeth?
All right, here's my rant. All right, number one, where are all these magic beans coming from to make portals? That was the first thing. And then, okay, number two, other Hook is the one cursed with Henry and Regina. I don't know how I feel about all of that, because on the one hand, pun intended, our Hook is at home having a baby with Emma, and they're together and they're happy, and that's great and wonderful. Love that. On the other hand, it's a different Hook. We don't know him. It just feels so different, and I don't know if I like it. And it's hard for me to want to accept it, because I'm glad for Hook with Emma, but I just kept thinking this whole summer that it was Hook, our Hook with, that he's not with Emma anymore. So it's a nice tie-in at the end for them, but we're left with this other guy, and I don't know we're learning the story. We're gonna know more about him in the future, but it's a little unsettling for me. How do you guys feel about it?
Okay. I think it's a very interesting story device at the very least. Just that it's a different character, just everything that you've mentioned. We don't know his motives, other than what he's told us. And he could be telling us a lie, although I don't really think that's the case. I think that what they were trying to do was give us an out. They wanted to give us a Hook that we trusted and could trust, and wanted to see him, give him something that he wanted to fight, that he had to fight for, and that we wanted him to fight for, while at the same time giving our Hook closure with Emma. And I think they did, like I mentioned earlier, I think they did a really good job in doing so. I could definitely see where you're coming from. This is a Hook that has, even in just this episode alone, has done, not so good things. But I think that, even though they only had the course of an episode to do so, I think they kind of tried to redeem him in their way, by making him go back and get Hook. They tried to show they tried to give him a whole redemption arc in the matter of an episode, which maybe you would feel more trust for him than if we had more time with him. But being that they only had as much time, I will say everything that Colin O'Donoghue has said in the press makes a whole lot more sense now, as far as the different version of Hook and us being happy as to how they're going to do it and all these other different things, and how he was having trouble trying to figure out how to play him because this was such a different character, quite literally we're seeing.
Okay.
So, and that also makes me backtrack on hindsight and wonder about Rumple's, about him saying how he had to change his accent and everything. That makes me wonder. That's why I brought up what I brought up earlier, if Rumple is even Rumple at this point, or at least the Rumple that we know. Is this just a Rumple from another realm? I don't know, But at the same time, we did have that scene with Tilly or Alice in the last episode where she was telling Henry that, Rumple's had his eye on him. So I'm sure that there's, that's going to be what is it? Wasn't it like episode 4 that we're finally going to get to see, like, Belle comes back and Gideon and we see like the Rumple story?
Spoiler alert.
Right.
2 more episodes.
Right. Yeah. So I'm sure we'll get more about that then, as far as Rumple's backstory as to how he's here and why he's here and whatnot. But yeah, I guess that was a little long-winded there. Sorry, Tony. What did you have anything to add about Elizabeth's concerns about the wish hook?
Well, definitely. I mean, if we didn't see him go back on his actions of what he did to what he did to Hook, to pretending to be him and things like that, then yes, I would have had some trust issues because, underneath of all of what he's trying to establish and, to get what he wants, I'm thinking that, that's what his agenda is going to be. He's always going to have a self agenda, saying, so all I got to do is just, play this part. I'll get what I want in the long run. But like I said, if had they not had him redeem himself over those 2 actions, yes, I would have had trust issues. But with him fixing those issues and with him being, like Emma said, a part of Killian in there somewhere, that she feels better about leaving him alone.
I'm sorry, what was that, Tony?
Yeah. I really wish they came out with a better Operation title.
Oh yeah, I saw that in your things there, yeah.
But that's my take upon it.
What would your title name have been?
I would have to say, let's see, Operation. Let me see here. Operation. You know what? I'll come back to you on that. I'll probably put that on my Twitter. Look out for that.
Okay. All right. And Monica, did you have a quick note about the magic beans?
Oh, yeah. I'm kind of expecting them to start cooking and eating them next season.
Yeah, they're so abundant. I bet you they're tasty and full of nutrients.
Maybe
lots of protein in those magic beans.
Maybe you might get a magic ability.
At Ronnie's, Rogers arrives to give Henry some info about the graves. While there, Rogers relates a story of how the woman from his book helped him after he was shot. She saved him, and he never saw her again. Seeing that picture reminded him to be the hero that she was for him. Rogers suggests that the 3 of them work together to bring down Belfry. And that's more or less closes out the episode. And I guess, that last little moment there with like Rogers, I think, said to Ronnie, like, you can gather, information from people who come into the bar and come to me with people who are getting, harassed by her, and then I'll look into it and you can write about it. So it's almost like this little, I don't know, like it's almost like The Wire or something. Fairy tale version of The Wire. But I mean, more or less, just gives us a clue as to what we're expecting for the rest of the season, as far as like what's going to be driving the plot going forward. How are you guys? What do you guys think about that? We've discussed about how we feel about how they've brought them into this land and everything else. What do you think? Are you anticipating, excited about that plot unfolding?
Yeah.
I am definitely. I'm so excited.
I'm really looking forward to seeing where the season goes.
Yes, and it's going to be like a social justice thing almost. It seems, it's just them all fighting the man or the woman who is Miss Belfry. Yeah, I mean, there's so many, like, okay, I mean, obviously we've had, where did the, oh, Monica, you did have something to mention about what they said here, and I didn't notice that until you pointed it out. The names, the graves that,
Oh, yeah. Henry never gave Rogers the names.
Yeah.
He just said, could you look into this for me? I keep hitting a dead end. And Rogers was like, sure.
I could do, yeah.
And they said, I couldn't find the names. What names?
Right, yeah, exactly. Never, like, he was just like, hey, I'm looking for family members. And then he was like, it's not really my thing, but I'll see what I can do. And then he just leaves. Like, there's 2 or 3 times in these notes, Monica, I was going, like, as I was, getting ready for recording after the notes were all put together, I'm looking over the notes and I see what you've put in there. And I'm like, wait a second. And then I had to go back and watch the episode again. I'm like, wait a second, she's right. I never, like, there's so many times, like, and I watched these episodes 3 or 4 times putting these notes together. It's just those little things I miss. And then you're just like, wait a second, she's right. But anyway, as we are about to touch on, so the questions left for the rest of season 7, of course, we know we're still left with where did the curse come from and who cast the curse. Now we're left with, and I don't even know if they'll ever even address it, to be honest with you, but what past do Tremaine and the Wish Hook share? I mean, I'm guessing it would be when Wish Hook came to this realm looking for his daughter, for that matter, who is Wish Hook's daughter. We've touched upon that earlier. It seems to be that Alice is the front runner just because the chess pieces, and Monica and Elizabeth seem to feel there's a big Rapunzel vibe in the way that Hook put out the description there. Is there anything else that we see some other people are adding some other stuff in here? Monica, you think Ronnie's an alcoholic?
And there is just so much booze flowing that the last 16 episodes. Like, where did all this come from? I mean, I know Granny's, the new version of Granny's is a bar, but still.
Right. At this point, okay, and then I see you added a note there as well, Tony.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
I was just wondering, will Henry call on some more help and maybe get to see his his uncles, uncle and cousin, really.
Well, we do know that we'll be seeing at the very least Gideon in episode 4. I'm guessing it'll just be grown-up Gideon at this point, and I guess that's the upcoming episode that I'm really anxious for, is episode 4. And it would be nice to see Neil. I guess he would have to be Gideon's age at this point too, right? Maybe even a year or 2 older.
Yeah, depending on how old Henry is right now.
Right, but I'm saying if they're showing Gideon, that's all confusing. Mm-hmm. Like, okay,
timelines are always confusing.
Ronnie / Regina, Emma, and now Henry all look about the same age.
Yes.
Pretty much. I mean, who knows if age stops in this realm, or if age stops in
I mean, I know there's not much you can really do to make up someone to look like 10 years older, 15 years older, but Emma and Hook do not look 10 or 15 years older as what Henry would have to be at this point if he has an 8-year-old daughter. I mean, he went into the realms when he was 18. He's looking like he's about 28, 30 now at the very least. And if he was 28, 30, which would be kind of going along with history repeating itself, then that would mean that he had to have gotten Cinderella pregnant pretty quick. I think we've gone over this before.
Yep.
Yeah. And like
it probably happened before the curse happened.
Yeah, it would have had to have happened like as soon as he ran into her in the carriage thing, which would mean that only 2 or 3 years would separate like Jared Gilmore and Andrew West, the actors playing the part. Like he walked into the realms when he was 18, when he left Storybrooke, 17, 18, let's say. And then let's say he's, I don't know, 20. I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I mean, go back to what I said earlier. This is a fairy tale thing that I need to just go with.
Let it happen.
Yeah.
Just let it happen.
Yeah. Well,
that being said, go ahead, Elizabeth.
I saw this thing, not on Twitter, like a Facebook picture of a Twitter, and I don't have all of it. I don't have all of it right here. Hold on. Yeah, there it is. Adam Horowitz, the creator, said, "We have a carefully constructed timeline. We have fab graphics and charts tracking everything, but it would spoil to share now, maybe later."
Not buying it for a sec.
Not buying it at all. I think
I would love. I really wish they would I really wish they would make that public. I really wish they would make that public. That would be like I don't even see that. I would be sitting here on my wall with yarn and like pulling my hair out and I for like a month and I still wouldn't be able to get a timeline down for Once Upon a Time.
Yeah, just
6 years. It would take you a month. No.
6 years, and just think of how weird Henry.
Just the family tree alone.
Just family tree, yeah. It's
just the family tree alone. Yeah. I'll believe it when I see it, Horowitz. I'll believe it when I see it. But that brings us to this week's arbitrary scale. Pretty small arbitrary scale this week. I'm just going for the total number of pieces on a chessboard. So out of 32 chess pieces, Elizabeth, what do you give this week's episode?
28.
28, you said?
Yeah, that's the first number that popped into my head.
You're fine. Any justification for the, anything you can add for justification?
Yeah, Emma's pregnant and I'm happy.
Enough said, Elizabeth. Monica, what do you have to add?
29.
29.
Yeah, I really liked this episode.
Really. Is there anything we've haven't touched on? Like, what was your favorite part of this episode?
It feels like it's getting the groove back, and I can't really pin down a particular.
No, I understand.
Thing.
I understand. Like I said, I did read that quite a bit. In some of just the general dialogue of the show, there was quite a few people who noted that this was just felt like it was a return to form. And Tony, what do you want to give this week's episode?
I also want to give it a very high rating too because I really enjoyed it. That'll be a 29.
29. Okay, so
chess pieces.
Wow. Okay, is there anything that you can add as far as justification as to why this was such a great episode, or?
Not at all. Similar points. This is getting back to once, and this is feeling like how it used to be. Like everything was surprising.
Right.
I also had another weird arbitrary scale. Really, to be honest with you, I'll discuss with you after the show, though.
Okay. you know what? I think I'm gonna stay on the trend here, and I'm just gonna go with my gut as far as what I was gonna say before we went here. I'm gonna say 30. I'm usually kind of the low man on the totem pole as far as the ratings go for the show, even though I do watch it every week and love it. But yeah, I'm not gonna say I spill haterade, and there were probably a few drops I spilled on a few moments of tonight's episode. But that being said, it was still a great episode. Like we've touched upon during the episode, I really like the justification they gave to how Hook stayed. It isn't the Hook, so they were able to have their cake and eat it too. They were able to give Hook a proper once send off with Emma and not have them separated, but still give us a Hook that we feel that we care about or can care about. Once again, the only thing that I kind of wish that we knew why Rumple was here, but I'm sure we'll get that in a matter of weeks when we get his Rumple-centric episode. But yeah, overall, I mean, there's not really too much I could say that I didn't like about this episode. That being said, I'm going to have to give this 30 out of 32 chess pieces. Yeah.
I like that, yes. All high ratings, and then next week. 24.
Yeah, exactly. It takes a nosedive. Let's see. Yeah.
Take a nosedive in our ratings.
All right.
I'm sorry. When do we do the feedback? I forget.
That's after news and speculations.
Okay, I forgot. Sorry.
No, you're fine. Speaking of news and speculations, let's see if I can get this phone to work right here.
News.
Woo!
All right, you guys heard that? All right, great. You got it to work that time. All right, thank you, Bill and Anne-Marie. On to news. Not a whole lot of news. I actually did look for some news, and only news I could find was just kind of about just basic articles about what's it like for the new actors and all that. It was no real news. It was just about the show itself. That being said, the ratings are holding steady, which is good news, I guess. Unfortunately, it's still 0.7 for the second week in a row, which is, from what I believe from last week, a series low. Now, granted, this is Friday night as opposed to Sunday night, so that does make a difference in the live ratings. Friday's always kind of been a low ratings night, which is why most networks kind of dump their shows on Fridays. They've always called Fridays graveyards. You can't necessarily judge now by the past because of the way viewing tends to be different, but 0.7 isn't great, unfortunately.
0.7 for the 7th season.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean, we are talking about 7th season here, and the creators and the network obviously want to keep going, but I mean, I'm sure that if they keep getting 0.7s or lower, whether it's on a Friday or not, I don't know. Well, I guess they'll have to cross that bridge when they come to it.
Is that the demo rating?
Yeah, 0.7 is the demo.
Okay.
Yeah. No, yeah. I believe it was like 2 point something, 2.4 something million or something like that as far as actual viewership.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm not mistaken, I just don't have that number right in front of me.
Okay.
But on to listener feedback. Like we've said in the past, this used to be a very interactive podcast. We love to hear from you guys. We want to hear, we love our listeners. We want to hear what you guys have to say about the show, about about how we're doing here on the podcast even. Elizabeth, you said you had some feedback this week?
I have one from Rachel Nash.
Okay.
She says, much better. This feels more like the old ones to me.
Mm-hmm.
Loved seeing Emma and getting some kind of explanation of what's going on. The characters feel like themselves, like they belong in this universe. Who else is thinking that Alice might be related to a certain pirate and princess?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Right. So that's from Rachel Nash.
So she broke the tie. Now it's 3-2. For Alice and 2 for Rapunzel. So, what do you guys think? Who do you think Rapunzel or Hook's daughter is? Is it Rapunzel? Is it Alice? Is it Tiana? Is it someone we haven't met yet? Who knows? Give us a call. Give us, we want to hear, or give us a call. Give us an email. Give us a tweet, Facebook thing, whatever you want to post. Let us know what you guys think. We want to hear your questions, your comments, your feedback. We want to hear from you. So much so that we kind of got like a listener appreciation month going on here in October at Greetings from Storybrooke. We want you to share the podcast on social media, whether that be Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, personal mail. Write a snail mail, mail it to someone, tell them how much. I don't know how quick it'll get there, but every way you can, let them know about your love for Once Upon a Time, and for us jabbering about it here at GFS Greetings from Storybrooke. Hashtag it with the hashtag GFS new book. Leave reviews on iTunes and whatnot, and let us know. Send us pictures or links to the reviews. And you're going to be entered into a listener appreciation drawing where we're nothing big, maybe just some fun little once items, some little Funko swag, maybe a book or something like that. And we had set the deadline for October 29th, but we're going to move that up to November 4th because of the production issues from last week. So, like I said, we want to hear from you guys. Oh, it looks like he has his book out there. All right. Now, if I had my thing behind me, I would. My Funko's on the other wall. I'm going to be sending out a Rumpelstiltskin Funko. Is the prize that I've chosen to send out. But like I said, this is not only to try to get interactivity back into our community, but to show some love for our Once Upon a Time viewers and Greetings from Storybrooke listeners. So please, if you want to join the feedback, you can always email us at greetingsfromstorybrooke@gmail.com. The Twitter is @GFStorybrooke. The Facebook is facebook.com/greetingsfromstorybrooke. And if the voicemail is still active, it's 424-274-2352, 424-274-2352. And as far as voicemails go, I've never been a fan of the voicemail thing myself. Whenever I did send in feedback, I always just recorded a quick 2-minute thing on my phone and sent it in to an email that way, which is really easy. Everyone's got a recorder right here in their, in their pocket. It would take, of course, I would sit there and pull my hair out just like I was talking about with the strings and nails. It would take me like a day or two to record a 2-minute thing, but you don't have to do that. You don't have to pull your hair out. You don't have to be nervous about hearing your voice. We want to hear from you guys, whether that be typing, voice, vocally, whatever. We want to hear from you. But if anyone wants to hear from you guys, Elizabeth, how can people hit you up on the social media?
I really got to remember my Twitter name.
Isn't it like Queen Liz 87?
I think it's like Queen Liz _87, something like that.
Something along those lines, yeah.
And then I'm on Facebook always. My name is Elizabeth Placencia, and I'm trying to look up my Twitter. Yeah, that's Queen _Liz 87.
Queen. Okay, so the underscore is in between the Queen and the Liz.
Yes.
Queen _Liz 87. All right. And Monica, how can we reach you on the social medias?
I'm on Twitter at Monica Sedai. That's SEDAI.
Okay. And Tony, what if anyone wants to hit you up?
If you want to hit me up on the Twitters, you can hit me up at Hoops900, HOOPS 900.
And as far as me, you can follow me at Twitter on Twitter at Inevitable Hawk, HAWKE. I'm on Facebook, Bobby Hawk, just HAWKE. Search for me there. And of course, you can always find me every week hosting this very podcast, Greetings from Storybrooke. And I think that's it for this week, guys. It's a little smoother this week than it was last week with the whole format change and everything. But once again, you let us hear from you guys. But until next week, greetings
from
Storybrooke.
Yay!
Ooh.